It is widely known through the Fire Emblem fandom that the Maddening mode in Fire Emblem Three Houses is one of the hardest ones in the series, right next to Conquest on Lunatic mode in Fire Emblem Fates. I personally am not a masochist who enjoys continuously beating my head into the wall, wheedling on every single stat point that goes into my units, and meticulously analyzing each build and move I make with high anticipation. I am a casual enjoyer of video games. To put it simply, I actually like to have fun and also occasionally touch grass. So why take on the challenge of Fire Emblem Three Houses' notorious maddening mode, one may ask? Well, for the past 6 years, I have been on the personal journey of 100% completing Fire Emblem Three Houses. My personal definition of a 100% completion requires beating all 4 routes, supporting every character, regardless of Byleth's gender, and obtaining every Goddess Tower cutscene. Now that sounds simple enough until you take into account that you are limited to 1 support and 1 Goddess Tower encounter for each 40-hour playthrough of the game. However, this is made significantly easier by the in-game feature of New Game Plus. But I digress. Now, up until a few years ago, I had no idea that it was also required to play Maddening difficulty with no New Game Plus in order to fully 100% the game. Simply because upon completing a Maddening run with no New Game Plus, you get a shiny new title screen. So, as the completionist fiend I am, I took it upon myself to tackle the challenge of Fire Emblem Three Houses Maddening mode. Now, I wasn't a fool. I wasn't going to go in completely blind. Even when playing on casual mode, Maddening difficulty serves to be an impeccable challenge, so I did a lot of research before I decided to tackle the obstacle ahead, which leads to the first big roadblock when taking on the task at hand. Which house do you choose? I chose the Golden Deer. When researching each route, it looked like it was the easiest to complete, and that is my aim in this challenge: ease. I'm not looking to torture myself with the hardest conceivable challenge there is possible. There are plenty of other people who can do that for you. No, I'm here for that goddamn title screen. So off I went on my journey to beat my first ever Fire Emblem Three Houses Maddening run. When faced with Sothis, the goddess of time, and being faced with the options in front of me, between male and female Byleth, I pause and take a moment to decide which one to choose. Just kidding! Obviously I pick female Byleth. Like, okay, for a challenge run of any sort, or any run you intend to take seriously, who is picking male Byleth? Literally no one. After picking one of the 5 legal Goonbay characters in the game, I start the prologue map, which is a breeze, and honestly almost no different to a regular hard or easy playthrough's opening map. The first roadblock I experienced in the beginning came in the map directly after. The first chapter of the game, the Three Houses. The Golden Deer do not have the best units starting off. Unlike the unkillable Dedue and the beast that is Dimitri that the Blue Lions offer, or the beast of Edelgard and solid units of Petra and Hubert, the Golden Deers fall a bit flat. They have solid units, don't get me wrong, but 1 or 2 good units can only carry you for so long, especially considering how the speed of the units in the other houses often have them doubling up on their own, which is its own issue. The Golden Deer are really good, they just take some investment, and obviously being in the very beginning of the game, we have no such luck of investing into our units. Before me, I faced an uphill battle, one that would see me facing the hardest skirmish I ever had in my 5 years of experience playing this game, and oh, Hilda hit like a 1% crit chance and one-shot Dimitri. Well, yeah, that's honestly the Fire Emblem Three Houses experience summed up. Sometimes you get saved by the role of the RNG gods and get pitied by the game, and sometimes that's all you really need. It still took me 3 tries to beat the first map though. I know, not a very good sign for what's to come. After conquering the first map of the game, I took some time to explore the monastery. Then immediately, I sprinted for Sylvain. Since I am playing as the sexy, beautiful, luscious female Byleth, Sylvain is instantly attracted to my feminine charms and joins my house as soon as I ask him. With him being the first major unit we recruit into the squad. Speaking of the squad, it is from here that I begin to plan out how I want to build each of my units. Byleth and Leonie were going to be groomed to be my perfect peg knights. Claude, Hilda, and Sylvain were going to be shaped to be my Wyvern lords and masters. Lysithea would do her destined job as a magical missile, as a Gremory, and Marianne would be the healer. Then there's Lorenz, Raphael, and Ignatz. I had no plans for them whatsoever. They were dead weight on my team, and instead of deciding what to do with them, I began to think about their potential replacements. But for now, I focused on the battles ahead. The next 3 chapters lured me into a false sense of security. Yes, I had heard that the early game of Maddening Fire Emblem Three Houses was hard, but those three chapters were so simple, and if I can get through it with minimal effort, how hard can it possibly be? Chapter 5. Chapter 5 had me on my ass begging for mercy. I was stuck on that chapter for 2 weeks, trying over and over again to find a strategy that would somehow get me through that hellscape of a maddening chapter. The developers must have known what kind of hell they would be unleashing into the world by putting a chapter like this so early on in the game. Because if trekking through that long ass map through hordes of reinforcements wasn't enough, they decide to add a monster at the end with 3 health bars. By the time you get there, you're either left to like 3 or 4 units, or you're out of battalion uses, making the fight even more grueling. I got out of that chapter with Byleth and Claude being the only 2 units who came out alive. I shudder to think of the maniacs who decide to play Maddening on Classic. After that infuriating experience, it made me realize that I need to upgrade my party and I needed to do it now. I took the time to get all of my units to intermediate classes and took on the next chapters. Now I could have also had Ruin after this chapter if I hadn't been mashing through dialogue like an idiot, inadvertently making my life harder than it needed to be. The hardest part of chapter 6 is that they take away your house leader, who is an absolute powerhouse, but that's about it. I found that this chapter wasn't nearly as hard as the previous one. It was still a challenge, but it felt doable, opposed to the last map that had me feeling like I had soft-locked myself. Thankfully, that experience had me more prepared for chapter 6 than I would have been. However, it would have gone much more smoothly if I hadn't been a dumbass and gotten Ruin like I was supposed to, but I digress. After this chapter, I recruited Catherine and Shamir to replace 2 out of the 3 deadweights I had on my team, giving my party a much-needed boost. I also recruited Manuela at this time to get access to the oil and water paralog to get the experience gem to make grinding simpler. After chapter 7, I took a long pause to use the infinite month glitch, baby. I grinded all my units to levels 22 to 25, leveled up their weapon skills so they could meet their respective advanced and master class requirements as fast as possible, and I gave all my units hit plus 20, darting blow if they had access to it, and death blow. And by repeating the month so many times, I was able to save up a ton of gold, allowing me to buy many useful weapons and tools for my units. Now I may be judged for using this glitch, for not being gamer enough to do it without it, but listen, I just want that damn title screen for 100% completion. I have no want or need to complete some arbitrary challenge, so if there's a glitch that makes my life easier, I'ma use it, okay? Sue me. It took me about 30 hours to grind up everyone in my party to where I wanted them to be, and after that I moved forward in the story. The next 3 chapters went by smoothly thanks to my new party additions and grinding, making my life a hell of a lot easier. However, chapter 12 had the challenge ramp back up again. I narrowly beat the map by having Shamir pick off Edelgard from a distance. She is the only reason that map didn't take me more than 1 try. Chapter 13 could have supposedly been my downfall if it weren't for Byleth and Claude being so busted. This chapter forced me to use my underleveled and undertrained units of Lorenz, Ignatz, and Raphael. Maybe neglecting them was a mistake on my part? Nah. Making my only units who could fight Claude, Byleth, Hilda, Leonie, Lysithea, and Marianne. Which for Lysithea and Marianne, I use the word fight loosely because as mythical units, they get so much as breathed on by a sword master, archer, or axe user, and they fold up like a wet tissue paper. Hilda and Leonie got far into the map, but perished, making the way for Byleth and Claude. Thankfully, I was able to use Raphael, Lysithea, and Marianne in the upper right corner of the map to lure the enemies surrounding the map objective away from it, and bringing in Byleth to kill the map boss the first time, and Claude to finish the job with Fallen Star. And that's where I am now, the beginning of the timeskip arc, the supposedly easier half of the Maddening run. Though I don't expect that to be true. And if I have learned anything from the first half of the game, it's that I need to be prepared. Also, for those of you who are curious, here are my current classes and stat spreads for my party right now. I have been having a lot of fun with this run, especially when it comes to building units, as I am using some that I've never used before, making it a really cool experience for me. Hopefully the rest of this run goes smooth sailing and I'm able to achieve my goal of getting that damn title screen. Thank you for listening, and hopefully I will see you again next time.